first image is what came out in the camera. The second is what it looks like when I'm done with it.
So it no longer looks like a photograph, it looks like a work of art. Oh, where's that?
It was one of the venues, I don't remember the name of the place, to be honest with you. This was shot through glass, that's why it's so hazy looking.
Where was that?
That was Point Pleasant, at Sandcastle, Point Pleasant, about a couple of weeks ago, I took it. This was just at the last wedding I did.
The Calla Lily.
Yep. Has anybody gone to the Philadelphia Flower Show?
Every year.
That's where I was supposed to head was thinking.
When was that?
That was actually a couple of years ago. Yeah. Take all those snowdrops out of here. That was tedious. Okay.
Thank you.
So obviously, you see, there's a lot you can do after you take the picture. And you can make something out of, now, most of my images, if you look at them, there's only one place to look. There's not a lot of stuff in there. There's one subject and that's it. That's one of the things I always teach you. If you're going to compete, don't make it confusing for the judge to look at the picture. It's there, that's it, that's where you should be looking. Do the backgrounds matter? Absolutely matter. Don't make them be in conflict with your subject and keep the color in harmony. So there's a lot of things that, it's not rocket science, believe me. It's easy to enhance. If you can work in Photoshop, you can do any of this stuff.
Okay, you want to talk about
Yeah.
the pictures first?
Yeah,
and then take a
we'll
little
take,
break?
we'll do that.
If you have to take a number out of the top of your head, I know it's gonna be different for each one, but on average, how long do you spend on each picture?
I'm going to tell you, it's been as little as maybe 10 minutes to 30 hours, okay? And I say 30 hours, not,
Yeah, based
I'll
on
work on it.
complexity.
There are some images I have 30 variations, and finally I'll get to a point and I'll say, stop. Stop, pick one, and it's over, Because sometimes I may have 3, in fact, I have a folder right now in my computer for next year's print competition, which comes up in April of this following year. And I just keep throwing stuff in there, and I'll go back and I have to weed down. That's a good thing. If you can put 4 in and you only have 3 and you can't come up with the 4th one, that's not a good thing. So, as soon as the year ends, I start the next year and I keep throwing stuff in that folder. And I'll have 2, 3, 4 variations. Sometimes I'll combine them even and then go from there. Sometimes it's real easy. I have an image, yes.
Is any of these images your competition work?
And some of these are actually. This I just did, this I just did, this I just did. This I'm going to use, we have like a little local competition. I'm going to put this in because Marty's a good friend of mine and he's a photographer. And I actually gave him this print. We had a lighting workshop that we did together. And that, if you remember when he came up, he was standing in his front doorway. I said, Marty, don't move. Background sucked, but the light was beautiful. He's got what they call short light on his face. So you have shadow and highlight. And you have highlight in his cheek, which is what you try and create in the studio. I said, you got beautiful light on, don't move. I can take you out of the picture later. I can give you a new background. I'm not worried about that. And then after I said, you know what, this is a good black and white. So those are the things I look for when I'm doing a portrait. This was actually done, it was either a hotel room or her bedroom, the bride's bedroom, and it was a wall like that. And I get walls that are even color, no pictures hanging on them, and if there is a picture, I'll always ask, can I take that down? If they say no, I know I can take it out later. But to lift it off the wall and save me some work later, I'll do that. And I just pulled the chair over, I said, just lay on the chair like that. She did it, boom, and then I did this to the background later. Okay. This, you saw the snapshot when it came up. It was her birthday party, she loves Elmo. But somebody said, where'd you leave that big Elmo button on there? I said, because it means something to her. It becomes, she has a personal attachment to this. When she gets older, it's going to mean something. To take that off now, would I put it in competition? No, because the judges hate that. But it's why I said before, what race are you in?
You wouldn't keep the Elmo and get rid of the kid.
Yeah. There you go.
I know some people
So that was just a snapshot, and if anybody knows has done any portrait lighting, shooting stuff with on-camera flash is not the way to go. So what I did was, these little white highlights that are right, they're called catch lights for people that aren't portrait people. What I did is took the flash and I bounced it off the wall so it came from a 45-degree angle to her face. So I got good light on her face, but the background again sucked. So I know I could fix that later, and that's what I ended up with. And then I kind of used some smudge tools. That's what I use a lot in Photoshop, the smudge brush.
For the background.
And I smudge things. A texture one, which is one of their standard brushes in there. It's not just a round brush. It's got a couple little things. If you drag it out, it'll pull some parts out and leave others alone. I use that brush a lot, and then vary the size of it, and the opacity too, play around. Those things you've got to play with yourself, the opacity and how big the brush should be, that you're going to have to get a feel for, because I'm back and forth all over the place with that. This was another bride portrait. Again, the background was really bad, I just took it out and played around with the colors. Same thing here, this was like probably an off beige color wall or something. I thought the black and white was appropriate for that image. That was the bird. We got 2 more minutes to talk about here, or?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go back 40 years ago. Had a big health problem. I had to have surgery. I came home, I couldn't do anything. I was going out of my mind. I put a feeder out on my deck on my house and set up my tripod with my 400mm lens. Shot loads of bird pictures. What I did was I put a branch about 3 feet away from the feeder, so they kind of had to land there first, and they always did. And I just kept shooting and shooting, and I had to slide go out the last door open, it was cold, open this wide, and just kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and it was snowing. And at first I left it in, I got to take the snow out. And then the background I played around with, I use, again, the smudge tool a lot. Now, depending on how you use it, you can go around in circles, you can go, this I went like crisscross, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's time consuming, it's not a one-click thing, not a one-click wonder where it's a filter and you apply it, no. Now, do I use filters? Yes, but I'll use them and then just mask them in certain places. I don't use it on the whole image, rarely ever do that. So this took time, because it took all the snow out. The bird had snow on, took the snow off the bird. Actually had to sharpen them up a little bit, and this image did well. Competition.
By the way, Steve also printed all the,
Yeah, these are all done on Epson 3800. I can print up to 17 by 22 or 25, something like that. The glossy papers, these are all sprayed with a UV protector. And it helps with the fingerprints and stuff, but it also has a UV inhibitor in it, so it helps them not fade over time.
where do you get that?
You know what, give me your email before I leave, and anything I can't answer right now, I'll send you the information.
Okay.
The can, it's not cheap, it's like $18 for
Yeah,
can stuff, but if you're doing this stuff, you definitely want to spray your prints.
Yeah,
You
most
know.
of the photo places.
The company that I use for the luster paper is called Red River.
Oh, I made a contact with Red River at Photo Plus Expo. They're sending me a whole
There-
set of papers, sample
There-
papers,
there-
for everybody
There's a
to
ton
have.
of paper companies out there.
January.
Now, I'm not saying any one is better than the other, but for luster paper, it's inexpensive, and when I print it out, it looks like what I see on my monitor, and I don't have issues with blacks and things like that. It's doing the job.
Do you use a spider for color management?
I have a i1, an older i1 color match. I probably should get the newer one. Oh, I'm gonna talk about that
What
also.
kind of monitor is it?
A Dell monitor, which I'm
An
gonna
LED.
change, it's a 23-inch Dell, and I've never had problems with it. It's
Is it
been
an LED?
calibrated, and what comes out of my printer looks like what's on that monitor.
What is it, an LED? Is it one of the?
No, it's not, it's probably 4 years old.
LCD.
There's a company called ASUS, ASUS?
Aces.
Yeah.
Does anybody get Shutterbug here? They have a write-up, I have it with me, I bought it just for that reason, on
It's
a
really
monitor,
good.
$469 at B&H. It got
Yes.
fantastic reviews. Now, anybody that's been doing this knows that IZL and LaCie and all those other companies, they have great monitors if you want to spend $2,000, which I really couldn't, for the amount of printing I do, I couldn't justify that, but I am going to buy that monitor. It got great reviews. This was a setup I did with studio lights when I was sick at that time. Another thing I did, you know, when you're first faced with personal challenges, you gotta find a way around them. I always said it's easy to do well when things are going well. It's tough to do them when you have a problem. So, being a photographer, I couldn't just sit and do nothing. I had to shoot. So I set this up. My wife had this arrangement sitting as you walked in my door every day. Every day it was there. That's the other thing I talk about.
So you're saying when you're having problems, you should shoot yourself?
Absolutely. Just
Positive
use
attitude.
blanks, it works better. We become numb to things we see every day. It's easy to go on a trip and see new things that, like your eyes like, man, that's great, that's great. I walk things past in my house, like this has been sitting in my front entranceway, I can't tell you how many years, this is great subject. This printed great competition. So, I guess you gotta change the way you look at things, especially photographers usually do, in fact, look at things totally different from most people. Because I'm always looking for stuff. In fact, we'll go out to dinner and I'm sitting in a restaurant and somebody's by a window and I'll say something to my wife says, "Don't you ever stop." I said, "No, it's just inherent." I see light on somebody's face, oh my God, I wish I had a camera. You know? So no, I don't stop.
I think the important thing is isolate detail
Absolutely.
and put it in a different
Absolutely.
context.
Look, I mean, well, portraits are easy to isolate detail. But even flowers, this, I just went to, everybody know where Alair State Park is?
Yeah.
I live 15 minutes from Alair State Park. Here's another crazy thing. We had arranged an outing for our group, and I was supposed to lead the group because I'm so close to Alair. So that morning, I go over to Alair, I get a phone call from another gentleman who was supposed to meet me there. He said, "Steve, is it raining?" I said, it's drizzling. I said, "It's not bad. Actually, photography-wise, it's good." I said, "Look, Michael, if you don't want to drive down here," I said, "I can understand that. He's like an hour away." I said, "Look, I'll wait here. If anybody shows up, they show up." Nobody showed up. These people are photographers. What's wrong with them? I walked around in an hour. I got so many pictures. The leaf was one in the background I made in Photoshop. I have so many pictures that I can work on from that day, with raindrops dripping off leaves, and artistic stuff. Not client stuff that feeds my artistic side. So even a bunch of photographers, I said, they missed the boat.
When you do a wedding shot, what percentage of the images do you give the special treatment?
That's a
Can't
good
do
question.
too many.
No. I go through like
Can't afford to.
like, I'll tell you where 90% of my effort goes into the pictures of the bride at the house. There's reason for that. I'm in control of it. Once she leaves that house, she's at the church, I'm not in control no more. I can't go up and say, "Can you turn this way a little bit?" You can't do that. You have to take and move yourself around. Some churches will tell you, "Stand here, don't move."
Yeah.
Now my hands are tied. They just tied my hands. I always like to get to the side of the bride and wait for her to, with that expression, if a word is said, and a tear dry, the emotional pictures. But if the minister or the priest says, "You can't move," I can't move. So I'm not in control. I know I'm in control at the house. I can put her where the light is good. I can put her where the background's good. And then I also do the PJ stuff and just wait in the background and I see her chit-chatting with the mother or something and get the stuff technically not perfect, but guess what? Emotional pictures sell. So you got to get that stuff too. If you've been in that business long enough, you know that it's not just the portraits, it's not just the candidates, it's not just the PJ, it's everything. So you got to have an open eye for that. But I know at the house I'm in total control. So after I leave the house, it's pretty much bang, 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 bang. You go to the park, kind of back in control. You get to the reception, you're not in control again. Now it's party time. Yeah. So most of my work is on the images of the bride at the house, like this kind of stuff, the formal stuff, which was kind of falling out of favor a little bit. You know how things evolve, and PJ became the thing to do, and documentation was
You wanted to find a PJ, it's not a pajama image.
photojournalistic images. Yeah, I'm using terms that maybe you're not, yeah. But photojournalistic images were the rave for a while, documentary where you stand back and you don't get involved at all. But I think you gotta do it all. You gotta be good at it all.
Does that mean you don't
Brides
have
and
favorites?
What's that?
Does that mean you don't have favorites?
I love doing portraits. I love doing this kind of stuff. I do have
Like
favorites.
that one?
I love doing that, like my granddaughter. I love doing that stuff, I do. But I'll do the other stuff too. In fact, this past wedding last week, she was in a room that had like double doors and there was like shears over them. And I stepped outside and she was in there talking to her mother. I shot through the shears. And then I added grain later to make it even more artsy looking. Phenomenal image. Is it a portrait? No, but it's got such emotional impact that it's going to be a great image that I know she's going to love. But I try and do a little bit of everything if I can.
Okay, let's take a little break now.